Hey guys, this is Ray, owner of Double R Diesel. Welcome back to my shop, and today I'm going to do another question and answer series video. I'll try to make this a weekly thing. I won't be able to do it every week, but I'll try to. But basically what I'm going to do is go back and look at comments and questions that were made in prior videos that I have put out recently, and try to elaborate and discuss on those comments and questions a little more detail, so that we can make good conversation, have good discussions, and quite possibly spread some truths to some misconceptions that may be still lingering out there. So a lot of what I've been talking about lately is what may or may not be going on with our government under a new administration when it comes to diesel emissions, the EPA, and where things are as far as vehicle emissions go. So one of the big topics this past week that has been floating around in YouTube land in a lot of discussion with other YouTubers is the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act. And I wanted to discuss that because that is something that we in the industry, we don't want. So basically, some lawmakers up in DC tried to introduce this, I think, last year in 2024, and it just basically never happened because of, the end of the year and the election and so on and so forth. And now some lawmakers have brought this back up again. It is supposedly bipartisan, which means that not only there are Democrats sponsoring this bill, there are also some Republicans who are sponsoring this bill. Now, it's just something that's been thrown on the floor, I think, of the House of Representatives that hasn't been voted on, I don't think, as of yet, nor is it, made it through the Senate, nor has it made it to the President's desk to be signed into law. But basically, the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act, from what I understand, it is kind of like cash for clunkers for diesel. So basically, what if this were to happen, which I don't think that it will, but if it were to happen, basically what would happen is the government would incentivize people by paying them money to turn in their older model pre-emissions diesel trucks. So we're talking about 7.3s, 5.9s, that sort of thing, that didn't have a DPF and didn't have an SCR system on it. The good trucks, the ones that are reliable, the ones that some people in the government hate because they can't regulate them. So yeah, that's what this Diesel Emissions Reduction Act is all about. It's about getting people to turn those trucks in to be scrapped in exchange for some money. And honestly, guys, you couldn't pay me enough money to get rid of a properly good running old truck like an old 5.9 Cummins that will run 1,000,000 miles if you take care of it and get good fuel economy. No, thank you. Not going to happen. They can't pay me enough money to get rid of such a truck if I have one. So that's the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act. If you hear any talk about it, it's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. Going on down the list. Somebody had made a comment on a prior video that I did when we were discussing some possible things that I'll just back up a little bit. Some other YouTubers have said, some things were going to happen, that diesel emissions were being rolled back, and new trucks coming from the factory would no longer have diesel emissions on them. And somebody made the comment, said, when will manufacturer reduce emission systems on new trucks? And the question is, will this ever happen? Well, anything's possible and time will tell. But honestly, I don't think that the general public, will ever see a brand new diesel truck roll off the assembly line with zero, not a zilch emissions on the exhaust system whatsoever. I think, if things played out, very, very, very favorably, maybe you could get away without a DPF. But I think there's always going to be at least a catalytic converter. I don't think you're going to see a completely open exhaust of any sorts on any new vehicle coming off the assembly line with an internal combustion engine, period. Somebody made a comment, says, I like the prospect of being able to, delete our trucks again, but they wish that co-rollers wouldn't do what they're famous for doing. And anyway, just saw a video yesterday of somebody rolling coal with a diesel pickup on a bunch of Tesla protesters on the side of the road. So that kind of thing is what's gotten us in trouble in the first place. We don't need that. Okay, so guys, if we ever get the ability to legally delete a truck again, you know, don't go rolling coal. Don't go asking for rolling coal tunes. I mean, don't do that. I mean, I can't say it any more plain or simple. Don't do that. Those thick black clouds of smoke is what has gotten our industry in the shape it's in. It is an eye-catching thing for somebody who is very anti diesel and pro green climate agenda kind of person. Those black clouds of smoke is what draws their attention and gets them fired up. So yeah, I know you probably want to do it in some sort of retaliation thing, but doing that's not helping our industry. It's not helping our cause whatsoever, because if we ever get our lawmakers to reconsider some things, you know, if they see a diesel truck in front of the where they're working at, you know, in Washington, D.C. somewhere rolling coal, I don't think, you know, that's probably not going to happen. But if they did see it anywhere, you know, when they go back home, you know, they're going to say, no, you know, it's not good for these trucks to be blowing smoke everywhere. So they're liable not to support any kind of legislation that would help us out. So don't do it. Somebody said, update the update. Will we start selling diesel deletes again? Well, it's still not legal, guys. I wish it was, but it's still illegal to delete the emission system off our diesel vehicles, or any vehicle for that matter. Somebody made a comment, how does the EPA know that the modifications are purely for off-road, off-highway, non-highway use? You know, can we still use that nomenclature when we sell a product or somebody buys a product? You know, can they agree in saying it was for off-road use? Well, here's the thing. It's just like it was when the EPA investigated us. They sent me this big, long sheet of paper that had all this citation in it. And the word should or should have known was printed multiple times. So what does that mean? That basically means that we should have knew better, that we did know better. So basically, when it comes to the government, there's no excuse if they want to prosecute you. I mean, they say should or should have known. Somebody said, well, we can now, talking about being able to delete the emissions off our diesel vehicles legally. No. Still not legal. Can't do it yet. Okay, I know there's a lot of talk on YouTube and Facebook groups. People are saying, yeah, we can go back to deleting our trucks again. No, we can. Well, you know, people still doing it, but I mean, from a legal standpoint, no, it's not legal. I hope that maybe one day in some circumstances it could be legal again, but it's not now. Somebody made a comment, says, as a prior business owner, I would suggest not manufacturing delete parts or installing delete parts. I state this as a good financial business decision. Why, you may ask? Because just as soon as Trump's presidency is over and another Democrat gets in office, they will renew their efforts to come after aftermarket manufacturers and installers. They will probably proactively find companies that might have been started back doing that again, and may even make arrests. Well, that's the whole thing about these Congressional Review Acts, these CRAs that you've heard talk about in the news and in YouTube land. So these CRAs, the Congressional Review Acts, if they get run through Congress, that basically keeps another administration from picking that back up again and bringing it back into law. So, you know, if we could get something sent through as a Congressional Review Act and, you know, diesel emissions were actually rolled back legally, you know, it could be done so in a fashion that it couldn't be reversed. But there again, that's not been done yet. What else we have here? Somebody made a comment, said people can do whatever they want. You're addressing it whether they should. Well, I'm addressing it from a shop owner's perspective. When it comes to diesel deletes or even gasoline emissions removal, I have to approach it from a shop owner's perspective because I am a shop owner. I am a tuner. So, you as the consumer can do whatever you want within reason as long as you're not caught and prosecuted. But people like me who are in the spotlight, who have already been caught and prosecuted by the government, we have to walk a fine line. That's why we're saying, and this is why I'm making noise now on YouTube, that deleting the emissions off our diesels is still illegal. Because I don't want everybody coming to me expecting me to just suddenly, all of a sudden, start doing it again and get upset with me when I say that I won't, because I'm just merely trying to keep myself, my family, my business out of trouble. Somebody made a comment talking about states. So just say, for example, that the administration we've got now puts the power of whether a vehicle can be running, without emissions or not in the state's hands. Well, is that good or is that bad? We wouldn't really know until that were to happen, but look at how many states had already signed up and basically had adapted CARB. Quite a few of them. I think somewhere between 10 and 20 states had already adopted CARB standards. So, they were taking it to the extreme. So if it's left in the hands of the states and local politicians, then you might see more and more states start coming against diesel deletes, if it was all put in the state's hands. So, I think for our industry, if we want something that's going to stick, it needs to be federal, and it needs to be, done at the federal level, because if it's completely left open to the states to manage vehicle emissions, then it just, no telling what will happen. I'll just be honest with you. I'm all about states having rights to do this and do that and not being told what to do by the federal government, but sometimes the centralized power can, keep things within perspective. Somebody made a comment here. Can someone tell me the best programming equipment for programming the EGR and DEF out of an industrial 6.7 liter Cummins that's found in school buses and trucks and tractors and that sort of thing? I don't know. Well, first of all, I couldn't tell you, it would be illegal for me to tell you how to delete, use a software to perform a delete, so I can't do that. Much less tell you how to do it on an industrial engine. I've never done any industrial engines. I don't know what software you would use, but it's out there. Somebody made a comment talking about the gasoline side of things. They would like to see it so that they could legally delete the catalytic converters off, for example, their Mustang. I work on Mustangs too. I got a lot of Mustangs come in my shop with my gasoline tuning business, DRP Motorsports. You see it right here on my logo. And anyway, I work on quite a few Mustangs, and then a popular mod for Mustangs is to put long tube exhaust headers on the engines. And when you do that, you can do one or two ways. You can do it with catalytic converters or without catalytic converters, and obviously you can make more power, particularly in boosted applications, without catalytic converters. But I don't do cat deletes in my business, and the same thing applies with gasoline stuff. I mean, it's illegal to take catalytic converters off a gasoline engine. In some states, you can only replace a catalytic converter with an OEM catalytic converter. You can't go with high flow cats or an aftermarket cat. So you have to be careful there. Yeah, so I would love to see something done that would, benefit the gasoline industry as well. If in certain situations, I think it should be legal to run high flow cats. And in a true race vehicle, if you're going to race it drive it during the week, but race it on Saturday and Sunday, you should be allowed to pull the catalytic converters off for racing purposes if you want. Moving right along. Somebody said they are not coming for you for deleting. Stop it. Well, and they were talking about me as a shop owner. Well, they've already got me. And they've already gotten other shop owners, and they've already gotten, beyond just, civil fines, there's been criminal cases as well. Matter of fact, one YouTuber, has been saying that, all this stuff is stopped and they haven't come after shop owners anymore since the change in administration. And a lot of things are just left over from the prior administration. Well, that is true, but contrary to that, I did read about a case, Indiana man, if I'm not mistaken, just last month in February, was sentenced to 4 months in jail for offering to sell diesel delete tunes and delete products. He had pleaded guilty back in November of last year, but he wasn't actually sentenced until February, and that sentencing went through, and there's nothing been changed to stop shop owners who have already been indicted or convicted from being criminally prosecuted and being sentenced. Okay, so that's still going on, and that's something that I myself and any other legitimate shop owner is mindful of. Let me back up just a second. So think about this, guys. If you've been following the news and you've looked at all these mandates and executive orders that Donald Trump has done, particularly on the DOGE side of things as far as trying to save money, and also on the immigration side of things of trying to stop illegal immigration and getting people deported, you have seen district court judge after district court judge all across this country. Some liberal judge has popped up and blocked his executive orders, issued an injunction left and right, okay? So that's just a prime example of how there's so much already been put in place by prior administrations as far as prosecutors and judges all across this country that are still, basically hampering anything that Trump and his administration is trying to do. And likewise for prosecuting people for emissions deletes, those people, those prosecutors, those district attorneys, those district court judges, particularly in some very liberal areas in the country, are working hard and they're working overtime to bring prosecution against people. So you can't let your guard down, and legitimate shops can't start doing diesel deletes and gasoline catalytic converter deletes, out in the public. I mean, you're still subject to be prosecuted. And you might say, well, Ray, nobody in D.C. is going to prosecute you. Nobody in D.C. is going to get you in trouble. Nobody's coming after you from D.C. Well, that may be true. Nobody in D.C. may do it, but there's eyes and ears all over this country right now. Okay, guys? Like I said, there's district attorneys, there's district court judges, federal judges all across this country that would love nothing better to try to find somebody still trying to remove emissions devices on vehicles and get them prosecuted, at least at a local level, okay? And if it's a federal judge and a federal attorney, they can come cross state lines and pull you and try you in court in another state in which it would be favorable for them to get a conviction against you. So that's 9 times out of 10, that's what happens anyway. So we have to be careful as shop owners and business owners and tuners in what we do. There's still no green light. Somebody talked about how tuning a diesel truck properly, even deleted, runs so much cleaner. Well, that is so true. I mean, if you tune a diesel truck properly and you keep the air fuel algorithms as they should be so that you're not putting fuel ahead of boost, you'll get very little smoke, and you'll get a much better combustion, which yields better fuel economy. Yes, I'm sure there's some nitric oxide emissions from that, but the whole nitric oxide thing is blown completely out of proportion in my opinion. And I think the big thing is, that's gotten our industry in trouble, like I mentioned before, is just the smoke deal. So if you properly tune a diesel, it's going to smoke little, if any, and it's going to run very efficiently, and it's going to get good fuel economy. So, all that together is good for the environment, despite what some people would think. Somebody asked a very good question here, and this one I'm asked quite often is, Ray, do previous customers still get quote-unquote tech support for the tunes that we bought in the past? And they're, nine times out of 10, this question is being posed about delete tunes. So here's the deal. Until I'm told otherwise, I am not supposed to do any more delete tunes, period, whether it's for a new customer or an old customer. And if you're an old customer and for example, you go from a VGT over to a standard fixed geometry turbo and you need a tune update for that, or you change fuel injectors, or you go with a bigger CP3 or a dual CP3 setup, or so on and so forth, I can't retune for that legally, because every time you write a tune for a deleted truck, in the eyes of the Environmental Protection Agency, is considered another defeat device. Yeah, it's not right, but that's just the way they see it. Now, I did have some customers quite often ask me about updated transmission tuning. And let me make that clear. So anything, we're talking about 68 RFE equipped trucks, because that's the only thing I tune transmissions for as of right now. Anything 2010 and newer, the transmission calibration is part of the engine calibration. It's all in one file, okay? I can't separate it. And therefore, when I retune a transmission, do a new transmission calibration for a truck of those year models, I'm retuning the engine too. And that would be, in many cases, retuning a deleted truck. And so I have actually reached out to my former prosecutors at the EPA. I've got all their email addresses, and I've emailed them in the past couple of weeks to see, what was their stance on that? Could I retune trucks just merely changing the transmission calibration and giving the guys the same engine calibration that they've always had for me? And I've yet to get a response, and I may never get a response, because that's just how the EPA works. They'll be quick to tell you what you can't do, but they will never, hardly ever tell you what you can do. That's just how they work. Okay. Anyway, somebody said I'm the Cummins wizard. Well, I don't feel like I'm the Cummins wizard. I just try to do the best that I can. I don't know everything. I know how to push buttons. I know what makes a diesel engine run. And I know by doing certain things, it causes certain things to happen. And I've driven enough trucks to know what a good running truck feels like, sounds like, acts like. So I do my best. I have a genuine interest in automotive performance in general. So I love diesel trucks and I love gasoline powered vehicles. I love to add performance. I love to add more sound. It's in my blood. And I'm always tried to fight to be able to do that within reason. I can't beat the government at a game in which everything's stacked against me, but I'm going to do what I can. So what can I do and what can you guys do? So while this topic is, hot, and still on the stove, as you would say, up in DC, it is our job to keep bombarding all our elected representatives. Reach out, find out who your representatives are in the House of Representatives, find out who your senators are for your state, and get their contact information. Every one of them's got a website, and every one of them's got a way you can email them or call their office. Do it. Call them. Email them. Do it once a week. Don't do it just one time. Do it more than once. Be that squeaky wheel. That is the only way we're ever going to get anything done, is to keep making noise. Now is the prime time to make noise. While this ship is sailing, we need to hoist the sails as high as they'll go so that we can get some attention. Okay, guys? So keep the pressure on your elected representatives, because what they do is patronize the ones who make their petitions known to them. They want to get this, honestly, it's all about getting reelected. And they want to do what the majority wants so that they feel like they're going to stand a good chance of getting reelected and keeping their little cushy jobs, okay? So call your representatives, email your representatives, call your senators, email your senators. Do it at least once a week and keep doing it, okay, guys? Don't stop. It's not a once and done thing, okay? Keep it up. And I'm doing the same. I have contacted both my senators and my representative. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, I've got one senator who has responded to me multiple times to all my petitions. I've got another senator that has yet to respond to me once. And I've got one representative who has yet to respond to me once at all either. And by golly, I will not be voting for him and him again. I don't care if they are Republicans. If they're not going to respond and at least make, let me know that, they're hearing what I've got to say, I ain't got a use for them, okay? Let's see what else. YouTubers. So, yeah, I guess I'm on YouTube, guys, but I'm not a quote-unquote professional YouTuber. I mean, you look at my shop, you look at my camera, you look how I talk, you look how I look. I'm not trying to be the cool kid on the block. I'm just trying to tell you guys what I think is the truth and just share, what's on my mind. That's all I know to do. But there's a lot of YouTubers out there who make a living off YouTube. And it's all, when you make a living off YouTube, it's about how many views your video gets, how many clicks it gets, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of YouTubers out right now. I don't want to put any YouTuber down because I watch a lot of YouTube myself, and I like a lot of these guys that, even though they're not putting out factual information, I like their channels. I find it entertaining. I find it uplifting to hear noise being made for our industry. But please note that a lot of these YouTubers right now who are talking about diesel deletes being legal again, or talking about emissions being rolled back, it's for the clicks, okay? Okay? Yes, it's bringing attention to the subject, and I appreciate that. But a lot of what's being said and done right now is all about clicks, okay? And making money for their channel. I don't fault them, but I just want to let you know there's a lot being said that is not the whole truth. Just so that basically what's going on is they're trying to tell people what they want to hear. And when people find something like that they want to hear, they'll watch it, and it brings in that YouTuber more revenue. And that's what's going on, okay, guys? So keep that in mind. I'll just try to keep it as truthful as I can. I do have enthusiasm. I like to share my enthusiasm when I can, but I want to tell the truth. That's the bottom line. And that's why you don't see me making a video every day, okay? Because I'm not trying to make a living off YouTube. I'm just doing this because I like it, okay? CARB, California. Yeah, so the legislation that could be going through Congress in the next few days and coming weeks has a lot to do with CARB, and it has a lot to do with 2027 emissions mandates. That's what's all being proposed right now. So these YouTubers that are saying that emissions are being rolled back, diesels are being, deletes are being made legal again, what is actually happening, what's actually being considered is proposed mandates by the Biden administration that was conjured up in the EPA that was actually tacked on to the Clean Air Act. Basically, there's a new set of emission standards that's supposed to take place, roll into effect, I think, in 2027 and carry through 2032. And basically, it is a very, very, very strict set of new rules for emission standards that basically, if it stays in place, would force at least 50% of the vehicle fleet on the road to become electric, because the internal combustion engine fleet simply couldn't, no matter how you tighten, how tight you turn the screws on the tailpipes, they wouldn't be able to meet those standards. And that's what's being considered for repeal and for review right now. I'm not saying that other things could come later down the road that would be more favorable to shops like mine in your interest. But for right now, the only thing that's really truly being considered is just putting a halt to the coming 2027 mandates, which basically is the green light for the electric vehicle takeover. And that's what's being reconsidered, not actually being able to delete your truck again. I think that's about it, guys. I just want to say thank you once again for all you've done for me over the years. Customers, once again, I thank you. I thank you for being loyal. I have guys that still buy, emissions-friendly parts from me and services from me. And it's just customer loyalty that I greatly appreciate from you guys. I appreciate the support to the channel. I appreciate you liking my videos and subscribing. Yes, I do make a little bit of income off YouTube, but I mean, it's like a few dollars every week. I mean, seriously, not even, I don't even make $100 a week on YouTube. I'm just being honest with you, where some YouTubers are making thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a week off of YouTube. I'm not. But I appreciate you following along. I appreciate you making good comments. I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your ideas. Everybody's got a voice and it needs to be heard, whether it's pro diesel, pro gasoline, or totally against diesel and gasoline performance. I mean, I welcome it all, and I try to make sure everybody's heard. So guys, keep the comments coming. I appreciate you following the channel, and look forward to more videos to come. I'm going to have, trucks in the shop at later dates. And, when I've got content, with a truck in the shop and something that I can show, I'll have that up on YouTube. Most of my time in the shop now is actually spent on gasoline vehicles because that's what's paying my bills. I'll just be honest with you. The diesel stuff is people are still deleting their trucks and they're getting their stuff from Canada and China. And, anyways, guys, I appreciate your support, and just keep that in mind. If the day comes that we can legally delete again and offer delete parts and tuning services for sale at some later date, keep in mind that I am an experienced tuner. I will make you good, clean tunes. I don't write smoke tunes, and I'll try to do everything right, responsibly, and make sure that you got a dependable vehicle. I'm not out to make a quick buck and make a bunch of smoke and blow your mess up, okay? So keep that in mind if that day ever comes. But as always, once again, thank you for following along. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you again soon.